Good morning, and thanks for tuning in to Behind the Scenes at the Hanover Theater. This is Lisa Conde, and I am in the studio today with Mark Steina. Welcome, Mark.
Hey, Lisa.
Now, for all of our listeners, Mark has been with the theater since before we began. You were part of the first group of volunteers. What was that like?
I was. Well, it was probably the scariest thing I ever did in my life because opening night, a full house of 2,300 people, and believe it or not, none of the 200 volunteers had ever even been in the building. We rehearsed being volunteers at the DCU Center, and we had maps. So when we all arrived at the theater 2 hours before and saw how big it was, we just all panicked. But we got everybody to their seat, and it was a great night. Oh,
and the show must go on because nobody would have ever known that you had never been in the theater before. But you weren't the only one that hadn't seen the theater completed. It's so funny. Part of the opening team, we saw people scrubbing the tile in the Franklin Square salon. I think the paint was just drying on some of the some of the walls and fixtures. And so you've quickly risen through the ranks.
Yes, I did. I actually, like you said, was part of the original team, and about 4 months later, they asked me to be house manager.
And what does that mean?
Well, my responsibility as house manager is to assist the volunteers with patron issues or seating issues or, God forbid, behavioral issues.
What? People misbehave at the theater?
Oh, yes, they do, depending on the show. And then the events coordinator position, which I'm currently in, events just started growing leaps and bounds. Once people walked through the door at the theater and looked at how absolutely beautiful it was, their minds started to spin. Oh, my God, I wonder if they do weddings. Oh, my God, we've got to have a breakfast here or a lunch or a dinner. And so I've been in that position for about 4 years, and we now average about 75 events a year.
Which is fabulous. And we all have fun jobs at the theater. Let's face it, we work for a great organization, but you have a really fun job in the whole scheme of things.
Well, I think, it is really fun because, first of all, every single event we do is completely different. And now we're even getting into weddings. The unfortunate thing about the Hanover Theater is our really safe months to book weddings are the summer months, very beginning of January, and then maybe the very beginning of September. Not real popular months for weddings, but believe it or not, we're already booked out till 2015.
I definitely believe it. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's very unexpected. And the other thing that's interesting about the theater is a bride and groom can actually create on stage their own Broadway show. Working with our unbelievable lighting director, Brenda Shepard, we've had some very creative weddings. I remember the first wedding we did. It was very Parisian, and the whole back wall of the theater was an aerial view of downtown Paris. And
Cool.
The couple had little cafe tables and cocktail tables, and you really, when you were up there, really felt like you were sitting on a sidewalk somewhere in Paris. It was incredible. We had one couple that chose to have their wedding on the stage. The guests were all on the stage wondering where the bride and groom were going to make their entrance from. And lo and behold, in a puff of smoke into the music of Your Love Is Lifting Me Higher, the bride and groom made their entrance on the organ lift.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun.
So it's a very interesting job. One of the other really, really exciting things that happened to us 2 years ago was the Paul Mitchell Corporation from Beverly Hills chose the Hanover Theater for their annual hair show. Prior to that, the year before, they were at the Venetian in Las Vegas. So to put us on the same level as the Venetian in Las Vegas was very, very exciting.
Well, I remember it was really cool to be in the audience for that event, and you did sneak us in, which is really great because most of Mark's events are closed to the public, obviously. They're private, catered, production, or event types, corporate, weddings, showers, whatnot. But the Paul Mitchell Hair Show, the runway was phenomenal. they had international stylists there talking to an audience full of salon owners and stylists and estheticians, and they were talking about color. They were cutting people's hair on stage. Do you remember the hair being lifted by the balloons? Oh my gosh. And the models were crazy. And some of the colors they came up with and the photography, it was a major, like what you see when you watch, I don't know, E! Network, right?
Right, exactly.
What's been your favorite event so far? I know they're all cool, but
I think a couple of the weddings certainly have been one of our newer corporate participants at the theater last year was TD Bank. And people arrived on buses. Everybody was dressed in green, their corporate colors. Everyone had a glow-in-the-dark tambourine, and the banks all came in. They actually recreated Jay Leno's stage on our stage, and that's how they gave out their awards. So you really felt like you were in the audience watching the Jay Leno show. The really exciting thing is they had so much fun at the Hanover Theater. They're coming back again this year, and I don't know how they're going to top that. But I think out of all the events we've done, probably that first wedding we did, the TD Bank, and then the Paul Mitchell hair show were incredible.
How fun is that?
A really big part of what we do is we assist a lot of local nonprofits in fundraising endeavors at the theater. And how that usually works is that they buy a block of tickets. Say they buy 100 tickets. They first of all get a discount when they buy that many tickets. And then they'll...
To the show, you mean?
To the show,
yep.
To a show, prior to a show.
And by the way, Jersey Boys, lots of group sales opportunities. Go ahead, Mark.
Oh, exactly, exactly. And then what they'll do is we will give them a function space at no charge.
Right.
And they'll get a local restaurant or two to donate food, and it becomes a really incredible night out for that organization. A lot of them do silent auctions and things, and we have some groups that have come back now. This will be their 5th year, so it's so successful for them. So that's here's a nonprofit helping other nonprofits out in the community, and it's great.
It is great. And so some of the different spaces that are interesting, too, is, a lot of times we'll have those pre-event receptions like you're talking about, or meet and greets, or book signings up in the Mary DeFutis Pavilion, and sometimes we refer to that as the Bridge. But Mary DeFutis was our first $1 million donor, and she has this beautiful space named after her. What can you describe that space for people? Yeah,
it's actually it is beautiful, Lisa, especially in the winter, because as you face the theater, it's the glass front of the building, and it is on the 2nd floor. And if you've ever driven through our part of town in the winter, those trees out in front with thousands of LED lights, it really is quite magical. And I remember one event we did not too long ago, with those trees in the background. It was winter. One of the caterers that we worked with recreated almost the feel like you were at the Tavern on the Green in New York City.
I love that.
We dimmed the lights in the theater. Every table had 4 or 5 votives on it, and you really felt, and the snow was falling, that it was a really magical night for that organization. Absolutely. And then we have the Promenade. The Promenade is probably our most glamorous, luxurious space in the theater. Not to be outdone by the stage. But yes, the Promenade on the 2nd floor. We've had functions as small as dinners for 30 up there. We host lots of weddings, actual ceremonies there. But it really is reminiscent of a grand ballroom in Newport. And so when people walk in, they're really awestricken. As a matter of fact, last night we booked a function for 2014 already. Great. On the Promenade. So, well, what's nice about that space, too, is it's upstairs, so you've got a little bit of privacy if you're doing something before the show, but that gets a little bit tricky. Right. And it has that beautiful mirrored wall that's one of the signatures of the Thomas Lamb theaters. You know, he used to say that he liked to have people, when they came to the theater is for the people so they can look out and see themselves reflected back. And a lot of people expect when they come up the stairs that that's a big window, and it really is kind of an interesting thing for me as house manager or our ushers to say, no, it's not a window. It was never a window, and we do tell the Thomas Lamb story about how we want every person that walks through that door to feel like they are part of the theater and part of that wall. They can see their reflection. So it's a neat story to tell.
It is pretty, and we've had a lot of photo shoots up there too because
lots of photo shoots. Actually, we have one this Sunday. A couple that's actually getting married at a church here in the city, but has chosen the theater to have their formal portraits done with family in the afternoon before they go off to the reception. And we get lots of requests. Prom season,
right?
Kids were in and out of the theater constantly during prom season wanting to have their prom pictures taken there.
Not only for individuals, though, but we've been in magazines and different brochures where people want to have a very elegant, high-class. They can pick almost any time period and dress the people in whatever time period you want, really, because it's a historic theater. And go ahead.
The other exciting thing that has been happening at the theater, too, is we are on, obviously, the web, and people have sought us out, and they've actually filmed segments of movies there.
Right.
One of the first things we did was... if you remember back in the 70s and 80s, the group called the Weather Girls. It's Raining Men, hallelujah.
I did a tap dance to that.
Great. Martha Wash, who was one of the original Weather Girls, chose the Hanover Theater to film her latest video on. And the exciting thing about that was at the last minute, a gospel group that they needed wasn't able to get to the theater in time. So we called our friends at South High. Maureen Beninda, the principal there, is a volunteer at the theater. And in less than an hour, she had her entire gospel group down at the theater. They had learned the words to the song, and they're actually featured in that video. And if you ever want to check out that video, you need to go on YouTube and look at and type in Martha Wash, I've Got You, because it really makes the theater really an incredible place.
From the promenade down, we have that grand, beautiful staircase, right? And so down the staircase, you go to the historic lobby, which connects to our modern lobby. Do you want to describe the difference a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the stairway is the focal point there, but the other exciting thing about that part of the theater is the beautiful mahogany bar that we have that's so appropriate for that area because it's very old-fashioned. And the other exciting thing that we always like to point out in that part of the theater is the 3 chandeliers that are above your head are actually original back to the early 1900s. The only 3 chandeliers in the building, with the exception of the big one inside the theater, that are original. All the others are copies. We also have a beautiful, what looks to be marble wall in the theater that people are amazed to find out that it's not marble at all. And people argue with me all the time because they put their hands on it and say, no, it is stone, it's cold, it's not. But it's actually faux finished, a technique called scagliola. And there are 3 walls that are still painted over in yellow that someday we'll chip away at and get back under. So that whole entire historic lobby will be a beautiful, beautiful, almost marble effect.
It's incredible. It really, truly is. And the fact that that is still underneath the paint. And so you can see where that painstaking and impeccable restoration has happened in one area, and then to see that that's what lays underneath the other is really cool. So visually, you have that traditional historic lobby, and then what I think is interesting is that new lobby wasn't even part of the building originally. When I started at the Hanover Theater, I often say there's no shape to the outside of the building. That's no exaggeration. Like literally, it was an open space, and they had to build that modern lobby out. And our architects, Lamoureux Pagano, they did such a great job in obviously combining the old with the new, and they've won, the National Trust for Historic Preservation Awards because of their work. Another favorite area for me is that Franklin Square Salon. Have you ever had any events in the salon?
Yeah, we have had events in there, and it's a beautiful room. It actually used to be the original manager's office back in the early 1900s, and it has that beautiful arched window that looks out into the garden in front of the theater. It's a small room, so we can have breakfast or lunch meetings in there for groups probably no bigger than 30 people. We can get 3 round tables. The other exciting thing is the original fireplace is still there.
I love that.
The woodwork is like nothing you'll see anywhere. The other really neat thing is that we're also an adjunct gallery for Arts Worcester. So the artwork in that salon changes every 4 months. So we constantly have people coming in to view the artwork also.
And that's a nice partnership that we have with them. It truly is. One thing I have, since the very beginning, said we have got to do this at some point is we need some kind of makeover day in the theater backstage to take advantage of all of those dressing rooms on the walls of mirrors and lights and all that kind of great stuff. Because what woman would not want to go for a total makeover, the makeup, the hair, a little spa day backstage?
Well, let me tell you that might happen, Lisa.
Really?
That's really interesting that you mentioned that, because we just got some exciting news last week that the Paul Mitchell Corporation is actually going to sponsor our Broadway show Hair.
Awesome!
And one of the ideas that we were throwing around is to, prior to the show, people would book 15-minute appointments. The Paul Mitchell Company would send local hairdressers to come in and do 60s updo high hair on people, and we'll pass out tie-dye shirts and beads, and it'll be a really exciting event. So that's really interesting that you should do that.
I need to be front in line. I better start growing my hair, though, or I won't have much of an updo.
Yeah, right.
We'll have to use extensions. At our weekly staff meetings, a lot of times we'll talk about the events that are coming up, and I can't remember right now, but haven't there been a couple of times when an organization has basically rented out every inch of the theater?
Right.
Who am I thinking of?
Well, I mean, obviously TD Bank did that. We have a group coming in. We have a one busy day in August this year where we have the NFL.
They're all busy, everybody. They're all busy. Don't listen to Mark. We're very, very, very busy in the summer. So anyway, yes.
The National Football League is actually coming in with a group called Partnership with Pros, where it's going to be mandatory for every single high school football coach and athletic director and principal to attend this morning workshop on reducing the number of concussions in high school football.
Cool.
The fact they stated was that in a given NFL season, they may, with all the NFL teams, if they have 6 head injuries, that's a lot. And the statistic in high school football is that per school, per year, per football team, there's an average of 7 head injuries. And so what this is saying is that coaches are not teaching correctly. So the NFL is getting very involved, and it is a mandatory workshop. And so that is an organization that's going to utilize every square inch of the theater. That night, we have a wedding for 150 people.
Right, so tell us what that's like, because, that would freak most people out to think that they have to turn over an entire building, because how many square feet do we have? Do you know?
I don't know how many square feet, but yes, we're literally going to push the NFL out on the street at 1:30, and the caterers for the 5:30 wedding will probably be parked out in front, and it'll be my job and the custodian's job to get that theater ready for a wedding for 150 people.
Oh, no problem. There was like a day when you had 4 or 5 events like back to back.
We did an event not too long ago where we had a breakfast for 200 people, and the caterer arrived at 5 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, my gosh.
So then we had the breakfast, and then we had an event that evening, a 100th anniversary spectacular for one of the organizations in the city. So, yeah, that was a day that I was there from 5 in the morning until I think about 1:30.
Long day.
It's a long day, but I love it.
And we don't have any place to nap out back or down
Yeah.
below. You just got to stay motivated, stay energetic. So how do people get in touch with you if they want more information?
They can get in touch with me on the website, and it's mark@thehanovertheater.org. Either that, or they can call the box office, and the box office will forward my contact information. And I would tell people, if you're interested, that shows in December are booking up already. It's a great way to treat your employees to a great night out of theater and get them in the holiday holiday spirit. And, we're coming on July and all the stores start having their Christmas in July sales. Well, this is the time to call the Hanover Theater now because with all the performance of A Christmas Carol we do, probably half of them are booked already.
And then let's not forget Jersey Boys, that big 2-week run of a Broadway group incentives that we're working on right now. And we only have about a minute and a half left, but you raised a really important point, and that you mentioned caterers. And so that is a frequently asked question. How do caterers get on our preferred caterers list, if there is such a thing?
Yeah, well, we have a couple of caterers in the city that have been working with most of the venues in the city for many, many years.
And you have a checklist, and there are some requirements.
There are requirements, yes. I mean, obviously, we're such a beautiful building, and we certainly understand that some organizations do like to try and save and clip corners, but, little things like we don't allow paper plates or things like that. I mean,
and that's to protect our brand and to make sure that every event at our theater is a certain quality and that everybody is really having a universally beautiful experience.
Because ultimately it does reflect back to us. But no, we welcome many caterers. As a matter of fact, the wedding that's coming up is not using one of our preferred caterers. So we take some time. We meet with those new caterers so that they're comfortable with the building. So,
well, thank you so much. Welcome back to Behind the Scenes at the Hanover Theater. This is Lisa Conda, and I am here with Ellen Ganley. She is the Special Projects Assistant for the City of Worcester. However, that is such a misleading title because really she runs the place. Sorry, Erin, but she runs the place. Welcome to our program.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Lisa. Really appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk about all the great things going on.
Ellen and I are lucky enough to get to work with each other fairly closely on the Woocard program.
Yes.
And we have a lot of great things coming up.
So wonderful things coming up. Wonderful. Wonderful.
So what's new in the Woo?
Well, I'm happy to report we just broke 7,000 Woocard subscribers, which is a huge benchmark for us, and we're thrilled with the ever-growing number of consumers who are taking advantage of all the great offerings that the program has to offer and are using their cards more and more in the community. And we're just really excited about the wonderful summer ahead and all kinds of great opportunities and new specials and everything for Woocard holders to participate in. And for those who don't have one, we hope we can convince you to come on board and join all the fun.
Well, so you made a mention of wonderful things, but how many venues are participating now? Because I think that's a fairly impressive statistic. And tell us a little bit, obviously the Hanover Theater, we love the Woocard program, but who else is involved?
Well, when we love the Hanover Theater right back for all the wonderful support it's given the Woocard program. But we presently have over 60, I believe we're at 64 participating venues right now. And it runs the gamut from larger, well-established institutions such as the Hanover Theater, Worcester Art Museum, Ecotarium, Higgins Armory, to places outside of the city proper, including Tower Hill Botanic Garden, the Museum of Russian Icons, Old Sturbridge Village, and that just scratches the surface on the cultural side of the programming. But we're also happy to partner with a number of restaurants throughout the area, some retailers, transportation providers. So it really has grown to become such a truly dynamic program that really, as cliche as it sounds, it has something for everyone, and there's all kinds of great special opportunities, both indoor and out, and there's just wonderful things to experience.
And what I think is crazy, in a good way, is that the Woocard without any discounts is $20. But when does it expire?
Never.
And so most of those 64 different venues offer, obviously, for starters, points. Every time you go, you can swipe your Woocard and you receive points, and those are good toward prizes. However, here's an asterisk. You must register your card.
Absolutely. If you don't register the card, we don't know who you are, so we can't possibly reward you for your Woo loyalty. But it is both a loyalty and discount card. So all 64 of our participating venues offer you some sort of discount. It might be a free appetizer when you buy an entree. It might be a percentage off your food bill. The museums might be a 2-for-1 admission. Almost every show at Hanover has some sort of discount. So the card will very quickly pay for itself at the low price of just $20. And again, it never expires. So whether you're someone who is out and about frequently or just on occasion, it's a great it's a great tool and will very quickly pay for itself. In addition to the discounts, every time you visit one of the participating venues, you earn Woo loyalty points. And those points quickly accumulate, and then you're rewarded for that loyalty. And the prizes range from our fabulous Woo reusable tote bag to passes to some of our cultural partners, gift cards to some of our restaurants. And it's a great way to really get out and experience parts of the community that perhaps you haven't before.
And I just took a call from somebody today that is 100-point winner. It's actually Susan Smith. You know who she is.
Woo!
I know. Great job,
Yay,
Susan.
Susan.
And what we need to just note, because it does say that you're entitled to 2 tickets at the Hanover Theater, which of course you are, and that some limitations apply. Here we are in the middle of summer. We really don't have a lot of options right now. So never fear, that extends. You don't have a limit right now on when you can cash in those 100 points for the theater tickets. We hadn't talked about that before, but I thought I'd let you know,
Correct.
Ellen,
That's
because
wonderful.
none of our subscription shows are on single ticket sale yet. So really, truly, people earn those 100 points, and when you get our season guide in the fall, you'll see lots of really great options, and the box office can help guide you through what performances may or may not be eligible. But for the most part, we're pretty generous as far as which shows we let people go.
Absolutely. And there's always something, again, as cliche as it sounds, there's always something for everyone. And whether you're a recent college grad, a young urban professional, empty nester, someone with children, there really are venues that have very broad appeal, and you should be able to find something that will interest you.
One of my favorite venues that you would never think of as part of this program, besides, of course, Wooberry, and, of course, all my other restaurant buddies, is Broad Meadowbrook.
Yeah. And what a wonderful time to get out and explore. You know, it truly is, you forget that you're in the heart of an urban center when you're there. It's lush and green, and there's wildlife abounds, and they have amazing staff and volunteers that are more than happy to take you out on the trails and explore and see what's right here in our own backyard. And it's just a wonderful opportunity. They have a number of programs that they're doing beyond the sanctuary on Massasoit Ave as well. They'll be in Elm Park and up at Green Hill Park on select days during the summer, and it's free programming, and it's an opportunity. Up at Green Hill, you can actually learn how to canoe.
Cool.
Yeah, which is great. And in Elm Park, take a break from the playground, and they have kind of hands-on artsy crafts activities that are obviously nature-based and whatnot. But it's a wonderful opportunity to get out with the warm weather, upon us, to get out and explore the outdoor venues that we have as well.
And, in fact, our offerings change. We have a lot of packages. I think of Broad Meadowbrook, and I think about in the winter, a lot of times they'll do a snowshoe package.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I have wanted to take advantage of that every year that they've offered it. So check out woocard.org, because not only will you see a whole list of the 64 different venues who participate, there are also packages that you can take advantage of, from the dinner theater packages with the Hanover Theater and any of those different restaurants that we're partnering with, to really theme-oriented or very time-specific packages. Are there any really great summer packages that?
Well, we just put to bed one that the Worcester Art Museum had partnered with Wooberry, and it was a package which gave you a gift card to Wooberry Frozen Yogurt as well as admission for 2 to the Art Museum. But given that the Art Museum has opened its doors for the entire summer, we've put that one on hold, but I would look for that to come back again in the fall. And as you said, we do have seasonal programming. We're working right now with Music Worcester, which has an amazing lineup coming up starting again in the fall, and there'll be all sorts of opportunity to catch a variety of world-renowned performers coming to Mechanics Hall and Tuckerman Hall through them, and enjoy a lovely evening out at a dinner or eatery nearby. And we're working on a few other kind of family-friendly packages that will get you into Ecotarium, Old Surge Village, and Higgins Armory, which are very family-friendly. So there's always a reason to go back and visit woocard.org, because that's where you'll find the latest and greatest happenings, new specials, new deals, new exhibits, new shows, new everything.
Right. So there are a couple of things that you brought up that reminded me of other things that people need to know about, and that is the Wooforias and also your emails that you send out. I mentioned the Wooforias because that's really a whole quarterly kind of event that's free for Woocard holders, and we hold those Wooforias at different Woo venues depending on the time of year. Sarah Kelly from Worcester Music Academy has been instrumental in putting those together and organizing them. And those are fabulous opportunities to go. Where's the next one?
The next one coming up is August 1st, and it's going to be at the Worcester Center for Crafts down on Sagamore Ave. And we're doing it in conjunction with their Hot Night in the City. So it's Wooforia, Hot Night in the City. And it's a great opportunity to learn more about the program, experience, meet and mingle with a variety of Woo venues. And at this particular one, we're tying in with their Hot Night activities, which include live glass blowing, other wheel throwing. So there'll be live demonstrations, hands-on activities. We always have food. Can't be a Wooforia without some wonderful food.
Right, because what is it? Food, facts, fun, and friends.
Absolutely.
We've
That's
got
what we're all about.
Woo. Right.
And again, it is free to Woocard holders. We'll have Woocards available for purchase for just $15 that night. So it's a great deal and a great way to kind of learn about the program and learn more about the city and the region.
And get some tasty morsels and have some fun in the process.
Absolutely.
It's all good. Another unique thing about the Woocard is that you, Ellen Ganley, actually send information out to the people who register their card and give you their email, and you don't share that information
Absolutely
beyond
not.
the Woocard program
Correct.
and
Correct.
specific Woo events. Letting people know what's going on. And for me personally, that's one of the big challenges. I didn't realize that so much was happening in the city and this county before I started working in Worcester. And then I was blown away.
It's amazing.
It really is. B, there are so many different things to do that I find it a little overwhelming at times to, what am I going to do now that I realize, I didn't know before, but now that I realize I have an opening.
Yep.
You know, and Ellen, you do a great job at sending out that
Thank you.
email. How
Thank
often
you.
do you send that out?
Well, part of the registration, when you get a card, a Woo card, and you register it, what it does is it allows us to capture your email address. And periodically, on a monthly basis, we send out the Woo News, which will give you the whole month's worth of activities, places to go, special deals, and things that are going on for that particular month. In addition to that, we also do Arts and Culture Connection every other week, and that provides information about all of our Woo partners as well as our other cultural partners through the Worcester Cultural Coalition. Nothing frustrates me more than hearing someone say there's nothing to do.
Right.
My personal problem is trying to find time to do everything that I want to do beyond all of the other things that there are to do. It is simply amazing how many things there are to do. Shows, music, exhibits, outdoor adventures,
Crafty things for the kids, things to do with your parents, things to do with your friends.
It's amazing.
Morning,
it really
noon, and
is.
night. We could woo all day, every day.
Absolutely.
Boy, would we have a lot of fun there.
Woo!
And so there's some other exciting news about the program.
Yes. We actually just hired a new program manager to come on board, and we have another part-time Woocard assistant, which I think speaks to the growth that the program has seen, particularly in the last 6 months or so. The numbers are all headed in the right direction. As I mentioned earlier, we just broke 7,000 registered Woocard holders, which is a great benchmark for us. 64 participating venues. We are averaging over 1,000 swipes every month, which means the loyalty component is really starting to catch on. We have, over 100 prizes we're awarding on a monthly basis to reward those who are wooing with us. So it's really exciting. It's an exciting time to be involved with the program and all of the cultural vibrancy that the region has to offer.
Ooh. So any particular challenges that you think that the program is going to be focusing on just to improve?
I think we want to make sure that every time a consumer walks into one of our Woo venues with their card, either from their wallet or on their keychain, because we do now have key fobs, which was in response to consumers going to Wooberry and forgetting the Woo card. Well, you can't do that. You've got to swipe. So we're trying to make it a little easier for the consumer. There is now a key fob version for folks, but we just really want to make sure that we're making it as easy as possible for our consumers to participate, and likewise as easy as possible for our venues, understanding that they're very, very busy and want to make it easy for them to reward our consumers with their cards. So in the coming months, we'll be working on some specialized training for our front staff frontline staff to make sure they're fully involved in embracing the program, and then just looking to get more and more folks involved with the program and taking advantage of all it has to offer.
And you guys are out in the community all the time, and it's not just you guys, it's all of us guys together. But where are some of the places where people can find a Woocard table?
Yeah. Well, one of the exciting parts of the summer, which might be quiet for some folks, is definitely our busy season. The warm weather brings about all sorts of outdoor community festivals. We just kicked off our Out to Lunch concert series. This is our 6th year, I believe, doing it.
And I just have to interrupt and say, I believe that our beloved Sherman was hosting
our
fabulous.
We love having Sherman down with us, and every Thursday at lunchtime,
here
kicking it
from
off.
WCRN.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sherman.
And it was a change for us this year to move to Thursdays. We've got 2 concerts under our belt. Mother Nature has cooperated thus far, so we're hoping she continues to do so going forward. But we've got a dynamic lineup of entertainment every Thursday. But to complement the live music, as if that's not enough to get you down there, there's also an expanded farmers market. We have almost a half dozen farmers there with delicious, yummy local produce. You can't beat locally grown. And a dynamic lineup of food vendors. Last week we had over 6 or 7 different food vendors, everything from Wooberry frozen yogurt to Eric's La Patisserie, the Dog Father. We had an Afghani restaurant. Dr. Gonzo's was there with some deliciously spicy condiments. 2 thumbs up for the spicy gummy bears. Were just delicious.
Really?
My personal
Spicy
opinion.
gummy
Yeah,
bears.
it was delightful. So again, there really is something for everyone, and it's a great time to kind of take a break from work, kick outside on the common for a half hour, 45 minutes, whatever you can afford. And the entertainment has been phenomenal. Erin Williams does an amazing job booking the talent that we have. And my colleague Victoria Hall has done a really great job in reaching out with the food vendors and having a diverse selection. So it's not just pizza or salad. We can really spice up your Thursday. The move to Thursdays too was, a sense of, it's summer. Let's start the weekend early. Have some
Absolutely.
fun.
Let's bring us back to our college days when the weekend starts on Thursday.
Yeah, and it's really done really well. And like I said, we've got 2 under our belt, and looking forward to a great rest of the summer.
How long do those go on for?
It'll be till the end of August, through August 29th. The farmers market opens every Thursday at 11 a.m., and then the main stage talent takes on at noon. We always have some sort of local intermission act, which is great fun, and you might see some youngsters that or a local playwright, or poetry slam, which is it's great fun and a way to, again, to integrate the larger community into the event. So that's always something to look forward to, and hope you'll all join us for Out to Lunch. While we're on the topic of Worcester Common Oval, right there behind City Hall, on Thursdays, Worcester Filmworks has returned again this summer with its movies on the Common. They have coming up in mid-July, July 18th, will be Ghostbusters.
Who are you going to call?
Who are you going to call? Which is great fun. So we're really looking forward to that. And then the 3rd Thursday in August, they'll be hosting the Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Fun.
And those are free. If you have a Woocard, you can get a free small popcorn. Free
All
movie,
right.
Free popcorn, can't beat that. Bring your own lawn chair and blanket and kick back on the Common. They have live entertainment that starts at 6, and then when it gets dark, the movie starts. So again, it's a great way for the community to come together in a very inexpensive means and celebrate, being here in the city together.
I love it. I love it. I love what's
wonderful.
happening here in downtown. It's fabulous.
It's wonderful.
So any other special events or anything you want to make sure that we cover?
Yeah, well, as we're heading into 4th of July week, which people would expect to be very quiet, there's a lot going on. On Monday, would encourage folks to come on out to the Worcester Common at 12 noon on July 1st. We're celebrating Frederick Douglass's fiery speech, the 4th of July, and the meaning of the 4th of July for the Negro, and it's a communal reading. So folks who come have an opportunity to actually read part of his very well-known speech from 1852.
And that's so amazing to me, that history, it really is controversial, and it still is very current.
It does.
Sometimes you just need to change the names and the places and the dates, but the content is still right there in the heart of the issues.
Absolutely. And I think it it helps bring into focus what the 4th of July is about.
Yes.
It's not just as much as we love the hot dogs and fireworks. It really is about celebrating our independence and looking at independence and what does that mean, and are we independent in all facets? So it's a great opportunity again to come together as a community and participate in that communal reading. And then Wednesday, you want to head over to East Park on Shrewsbury Street. Mass Symphony Orchestra does an amazing job every year with their patriotic concert that'll kick off at 8:00 and lead you right into a spectacular fireworks display. Again, hopefully Mother Nature cooperates. And if you're looking for something to do outside of the family barbecue on the actual 4th, Old Sturbridge Village has a wonderful old-time celebration going on, and would encourage people to take an opportunity to see what it was like back in the 1830s and celebrate then.
I have actually always wanted to do that OSV 4th of July little extravaganza. And it's very reasonably priced.
It is. And with your Woocard, you can save $5 off your adult admission during the daytime. So they're open all day and have a variety of they'll have a citizens parade, fife and drum music. You can actually sign a copy of the Declaration of Independence. And then at 5:00, the museum closes. And then it reopens at 6:00, and you can go back for an evening full of activities. And they likewise have fireworks over Freeman's Farm, which is just a spectacular way to celebrate the holiday.
Fun.
So,
How
wonderful.
fun. I'm feeling festive already. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Cannot wait. So thank you so much, Ellen. It's a pleasure working with you, as always, having you on the program. We're looking forward to having you back, and Charlie.
Absolutely. We look forward to coming back and appreciate the opportunity and all the good work that you and your team at the theater do, bringing amazing talent right down to downtown Worcester, as well as being a good community partner and always willing to share the good news of everything else that's going on as well.
Well, we could not do it without everybody, and this is definitely a community. So we raise each other up. Happy 4th of July.
Same to you.
Have a fabulous day, and we'll see you soon.
Take care, Lisa.
Okay.